School Freeware's Visual Basic Express 2010 tutorials, Tutorial 6, Data Parsing, Error Checking, and a User-Friendly Interface. Data parsing is extremely useful when converting text. There are many ways of data parsing. Start with the data type .parse. So for example, integer.parse does integers, single.parse does singles, and double.parse does double floating point. For error handling, there's try catch. You try the code, and if there's an error, the code within catch runs. Okay, let's get straight to the code. First thing I'm going to do is go into submit, and we actually don't need all of these variables because the text boxes hold the values as well as the variables, so it's a little bit redundant. So what I can do is I'll just delete these variables, and we'll make a little modification. I'll unpin this so I have more space. And here, all we need to do is bring up our label, answer.text equals, and I could do it this way, the string of the value of text box num1 dot text plus the value of text box num2 dot text. So what ends up happening is we convert the text to a value, add the values together, and then convert it back to a string. So here I'll just highlight the whole code, and we'll make a modification for sub, do subtraction, then for multiplication, and then for division. And I'll go ahead and delete this label answer.text and go ahead and run. And you'll see that it'll work very well by using the values within the text boxes without extra variables. Now, one thing about using val and string, if I were to put a character that is not a number in there, it'll be fine unless the character is before the number, and then we get different answers depending on the situation. I'll go ahead and quit, and we'll try this with the data parsing. So we're using single, so I'll just do single.parse for each place that has the value. And I'll just go ahead and copy this, and I'll just paste it in like I did before, changing the symbols accordingly depending on what we are doing. And I'll go ahead and run. Now with the parse, work very well with just simple numbers. If I put in something that isn't a number and submit, we will get an error popping up. In this case, I'll just have to stop the program. And what I'm going to do now is put in the try catch. So that way if there's an error, we can catch it and display some messages to the user and do some other things. So we'll try, and then if one of these don't work, we'll catch the error. I'll then put in a message box telling the user the input contains a non-number. I'll then clear the text boxes. Text box num1.clear. Text box num2.clear. and I'll return the cursor back to text box num1 by putting text box num1.focus. I'll go ahead and end the try statement, and I'll go run. So here the numbers work. If I put in something that's not a number, we get the input contains a non-number, clears out the text boxes. Alright, the next problem we'll work on is the tabs. When you click on tab on the keyboard, notice how the tabs move around in an order that isn't quite convenient for the user. So I'll go ahead and close this down, and we'll go back to the form, and I'll bring up the properties, and I'll click on text box num1 to start off with, and I'll go to tab index. I'll set the tab index to start at 0. So the cursor will be right here at first number. I'll select the second number text box. Tab will be 1. The group box tab will be 2. Submit will change to 3. And quit will be 4. Go ahead, run. The cursor starts with the first number. I'll put in a number, hit the tab, second number, and then using the arrow keys I can select different operations. Hit the tab, enter for submit, and hit the tab and enter for quit. Alright, last little thing here, I see that the quit is over to the side too much, so I'll just move it over by clicking and holding, and I'll line it up, and these little lines pop up on the screen to help me. And I believe this program is done, so I'll go ahead and submit it to the School Freeware website.